An Anarch Manifesto. Paz a los hombres, guerra a las instituciones. Peace to the people, war to the institutions. Spanish anarchist slogan. Behold, a manifesto for freedom. Freedom for all who would listen with their own ears, not the ears others have given them. I, Salvador Garcia, speak to you through great danger to deliver you this message. If you reach deep within, you will find the spark that you call me. When you find it, this spark, fan it into a flame. We are the anarchs. We are those who do not let others lead for us. We do not let others go where we will not lead ourselves. You who reads this wonders, are they mad? Is not the prince going to stop them, to burn them with the vengeful sun, or banish them from the sight of others? I tell you this, friend, he will try. Yes, he will try, but he will not succeed. We are strong of will and cunning of ways. These things I know and many more, for in my breathing days I was called upon by my Spanish brothers to fight against the monarch and his terrible ways. For this I was left to die. But one saw me who knew of my flame, one who would not let it go out. This one gave me the gift all of you who read this share, the gift of the eternal life, the way of the blood. A gift I have used to seek my justice from those who know of no justice. They do not know it, but they speak of it often. For their tongues are those of snakes. Venomous snakes spitting poison are the princes and the justicars. Who are we anarchs, and why must you know of us? We are simply those who do not follow the laws of the tyrant, the dictator prince. We have discovered something more important than serving his needs. Us. Yes, it is we, each and every one of us, alone or together, that are important. We are equal to the prince, not peasants working his field. The power of one, the power of all. Think on it. We all have our own rights to think and do what we want. The elders of our kind have created many fanciful and fearful myths with which to scare us. They say there are giants in the earth who will one day rise up and eat us all, that we must listen to them so this day never comes. They say the first of our kind was Cain, cursed by God, and thus we are all cursed. These and other lies they give to us, to make us feel sorry for ourselves, to keep us in line to their will, so that we will not realize the truth for ourselves, that we are more alive now than we have ever been. We must seize the moment, every moment, and wrestle with their envy into eternity. Because we know this truth, that the kindred are free, and that we are not cursed and in need of absolution, they persecute us. They reserve us for their special punishments, and they try to sweep our bodies under their rugs, so no others see that their crimes against their own laws. Laws? We will give them laws. Laws of pain, death, swords, bullets, and blood. This is why we must rebel, why we must live the constant revolution in every drop of our vitae. If we falter for one moment, it will catch us and destroy us. We must fight for our survival, the right to our second life, to live as we wish. Damn the damned who get in our way. The prince and the justicars have created a monarchy from the dusty forms of their first lives. When these old ones were mortals, they breathed the musty air of castles, wore the jeweled clothings of lords and kings. If they knew not these things, they lusted for them. So when they were gifted with a second birth, they used it to gather to themselves all the perverse desires they could not have in their breathing days, the power and cruelty of tyrants. And they wonder why mortals rose up against them during the Inquisition. Such an inquisition can come again, but we will hold the fire this time and burn the princes to blackened ashes. We are the children of democracy. We had the power to vote our leaders in life. Why should we lose this now? Because those who are too old cannot change. They knew only kings and queens in their youth. They think only of kings and queens in their eternal age. But we can think new thoughts, dream new forms of rule. It is time to turn the tables, to teach the old to be young again. And if they do not listen, we will break their bones, take their blood, and bury them alive in the hot earth. My story. I will tell you of myself, so that you will understand why I write this, and why I fight the way I do. It is very important that you understand this. Otherwise you will think that all I preach is senseless violence and war. This is not so, for I am never senseless. Read and understand me. My name is Salvador, and I was Spanish. My first birth, my mortal birth, was into a small but close family of farmers in Andalusia. The year was 1876. We were very poor, and things were bad. All our food went to the rich people in other lands or to the aristocrata. We got little of it. We had no material goods, and our clothes all had holes in them. But we were a family, and nothing could take that from us. As I grew older, I would go to the taverns and listen to the older boys talk. There was new talk in the land about a new form of rule, where the workers could run things, and all would get as they deserved. These men were called anarchistas, or anarchists. As I grew older and angrier at our treatment, I joined them in their talks, and soon I was helping pass out pamphlets, tracts telling of how things could change for the better. I soon realized that reading and talking were not enough. Change would only come with action. We had to work with our bodies to create our paradise. I joined the group to fight secretly against the government, to vent my young anger on them. This we called the Mano Negra. The policia were against us always, as we were against them. We had many wonderful times together, mis compadres and I. We would create much trouble for the policia, and sometimes creep up on them from the shadows and beat them. You could not know how good it was to do these things unless you had seen your family and friends oppressed and starving because of them. But they caught some of us at times to lock away in dark prisons. We had to arrange many breakouts and get these escaped friends out of the country so they would not be caught again. It was after I had done many famous deeds that I came to the notice of a strange man from another town. He called himself Ferdinand. He had come from another chapter of the Mano Negra to work with us. He was an insurgente and had incited many riots of the workers in the big cities and towns. He was a secret legend among us. It was said that his name could not reach the ears of the police, or they would double their efforts against us just to catch him. We only saw him in the night, and he would not let us know where he went during the day. He claimed he had business which only he could take care of. If he had not been such a noble man, we would never have trusted him. But he never betrayed us. I was to discover that he was the cause for our continued strength. I fought against the policia for freedom and the rights of all men. How could I not fight against those who abused power and murdered innocents to maintain this power? I was surely not innocent, but there was one who was. He was my brother, Pablo. He was barely a man, with no hair on his chin yet when they killed us. We were walking at night, returning home when the policia caught me. I think they had recognized me from the descriptions that had been going around. They took us both to the back alley in the town, through which we traveled. It was covered in filth, for the stream of sewer water ran through it. They shoved me into the poison water and rubbed my face into it. They beat me, laughing all the while. Can I blame them for the beating? Had I not beat them in return? No, it was the laughing that angered me. We did what we had to, as an example for all. Yes, we enjoyed it, but because we made a statement. These men, they simply enjoyed causing pain to an ignorant peasant. Pablo was yelling for them to stop, and they laughed at him too. Then one of them struck Pablo, knocking him back into the wall. This I could not take. He was my brother, my king. I rose up and hit the guard in the face, breaking his jaw. The others grabbed me and held me while the guard began to beat me harder. Pablo yelled and ran forward, grabbing his arm, trying to hold back his fist, and he was again knocked away. They beat me so much and so hard that they broke something inside, and I knew I would die. I was coughing up my blood, and I saw it run down the streams, mixed with the foul excrement floating there. Los demonios! They were not satisfied with my suffering. They turned on Pablo and began to beat him. Pablo, mi hermano, 1,000 of their deaths will never avenge what they did to you. And they called themselves the caretakers of justice. I will bring them justice, a justice which will cause them to beg for mercy, but mercy shall not be theirs, never by my hand. I could not move. My bones were too broken, my muscles on fire, the pain of it. To slowly die there, listening to the pleas of my brother Pablo as they beat him and killed him. How could they be so cruel? They knew not what they did. I saw the horror on their faces when they realized what they had done. They were drunk with their power they had over life and death, and they learned about ultimate power. Their laughing stopped, and one of them screamed. I heard the sounds of struggling, and two of them fell down next to me, splashing water on my face. Then I saw through my blurring vision Ferdinand. He held the other guard by the head, and he looked to be chewing at his throat. I saw blood dripping down the guard's uniform, which Ferdinand hurried to lap up. I felt no horror for myself. I gloried in knowing that my revenge was being enacted. Even as I lay dying, I was glad for their bloody and painful deaths, ecstatic to see the horror on their faces as they died. Ferdinand dropped the lifeless guard to the ground, and then bent over me. "Mi amigo," he said, "you are dying. This saddens me, for you are a very good fighter, and smart also. Do you wish to fight still?" I told him yes, I did, but that it was not to be. He shook his head, smiling. "No, Salvador, you are wrong. I can do this thing to make you live again and never die." And I believed him. I had always trusted him, and I wanted so much to continue the fight, to take revenge upon all who abused power, on all authority. "But," he said, "there is a price. You must drink the blood of others to survive. Their life for your life. You'll be one of the Vampirissa." I agreed. I knew what a vampire was, but I did not care. I did not believe everything that the priest said of them. I thought of coming in the form of a bat to the chief of police and sucking his blood until he fell at my feet, cold and dead. This thought thrilled me, so I begged Ferdinand to do this to me. And so I was made Vampiro, one of the Kindred of Clan Bruja and the child of an Anarch. Pablo was dead, too late to be raised again, as I had been. Mi pobre hermano. I vowed that I would fight on for him, fight the battles he would never grow up to see. How I mourned that eve, the first night of my new birth. He was my brother, my own blood. They say that time heals all, but this is a lie said by mortals who know nothing of time. An eternity is not enough to heal the hatred I felt. I still feel it even now, burning in my decayed stomach. I aided Ferdinand in fighting for the anarchist ideals in España. We were involved in many of the riots in coming years. I now knew that we were not fighting the government only, but the Ventru also, and all the Camarilla. Then came the Spanish Civil War. The Ventru and their secret hidden masters had a powerful puppet in the dictator Franco. We saw our chance, and began an all-out war to destroy Camarilla power in Spain. So many wonderful times we had, fighting for our ideals alongside mortals, many of them aware of us, but uncaring. They knew, as we did, the real enemy, fascist authority. It is in the fight, the rush of activity and action, that I can sometimes forget my pain, the tragedy of my life from poverty to painful death. But the Camarilla were more powerful than we. They had aid from other countries. We had friends in Paris, but they were helpless to supply us. It was in this war that Ferdinand was killed. But he destroyed the Príncipe de Barcelona as he went. They tore each other apart, drinking from each other's powerful veins as they struggled. It was Ferdinand who won, and had the last draught of blood, but the prince's progeny descended on him. He was too weak from the loss of his own vitae, and they finished him off. One of them now has the vitae of my sire in his veins, and I will destroy him for it. After this I knew we could not win. I knew that it was time to seek foreign lands, so I left for America. There I joined the Bruja in California, in Los Angeles and Hollywood. Here was a brand new world, one I could never have imagined existing. The mortals all came out at night to wander the beaches or the brightly lit streets of the City of Angels. They had no fear of the dark, for here the sun shone so brightly that it lit up their hearts at night. Yes, here I thought could be a new Carthage. Here we could live with them in peace, with no need for fear. But the Camarilla believed otherwise. For years we tried to work things out peacefully, for we did not want to bring war into our new paradise. But the prince became harsher and harsher in his laws. He saw our desire for peace as a weakness in us. He did not believe we had it in us to fight. We showed him how wrong he was. The war was still being fought by the Americans, and many in California were afraid of what the Japanese would do. We cleverly created a panic among the mortals, causing some to believe that the Japanese were invading Hollywood. The streets were full of panicked people, and the soldiers were everywhere, trying to find out what was happening. It was then we made our move. I had much experience in these kinds of wars, so everyone looked to me to be a leader. I did not fail them. The prince was unable to control his frantic police and soldiers. We hunted down, one by one, all those who were the prince's blood and killed them. Then we came for him. He lived in a rich house, a decadent mansion in Beverly Hills, where he had many parties for famous people. There was no such party that night, however, for he knew what was to come. He had prepared well. We lost some of our compadres in that fight, but it did not change the outcome. He pleaded with me, begging as aristocrats always do when the revolution is at their doors. I ignored him as he sank into death, and his blood sang in my veins, empowering me with the vitae of ages. I vowed then to use his blood well, to gain power with it, to free those who were tired of the shackles of the Camarilla. We decided not to stop there. We would wrest control of the City of Angels from their hands and take it as ours. We could do this. We were strong in the city, as in no other city in America. We marched upon their havens and forced them to submit to us or burn. They did not give in easily, and we lost more of our compadres, but they lost many more than we. Finally, their elders called a halt to our march and surrendered their power to us. We had won. Over the next few years, we worked quickly, and our revolt spread over the West Coast. Soon many cities were in the hands of the Anarchs, and the princes were gone. We called our new cities the Anarch Free States. We are ruled by ourselves now. If there are any disputes, we take them before our councils, where everyone has a say in things. This has caused problems, of course, when arguments could not be settled, but they are nothing to the slavery we once knew. Many come from all over to join us. This is good. We revel in our strength. But there are still those who attempt to stop us, to take from us our grand achievement. I say, for any who would take this from us, we will deliver death to them with bombs, guns, poison, the power in our very blood. We will tear them limb from limb and hang their remains on the highest tower to greet the rising sun. A history lesson. A very fine man from Spain, like I, said, "Those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat it." This man was the philosopher Santayana. This is a great wisdom, especially for us. For if we do not learn from our lives, from the lives of those older than we are doomed to repeat their mistakes. We must know of history. We must know of the history of the Anarch movement for the movement to succeed today. The time of myth. I will break this history of ours up into sections, and the first is what I call the time of myth. What we know of this time comes from legend only. There is a book many believe to be real, called the Book of Nod. This book supposedly tells the secrets of the first Kindred, their father, and all the sons and daughters. This book is talked about much elsewhere, so I do not discuss it here. But I will say that I do not believe in it. I think this was created by the elders to scare the young, to make us think they have greater claim on history than we do. All the tales from this time are about the first generations of the Kindred and their fighting among themselves. Even then there were those who would seize power from others. There is a tale that says that the third generation slew all its fathers, and that this was only because their fathers tried to kill them. It was self-defense. Is this not what we Anarchs do? Everything anyone tells you about this time must be suspect. One thing that is clear is that there were no Anarchs as we understand the term today. The old was always replaced with the old. There was no new forms of revolt, no new forms of rule. The Bruja achievements. The Bruja clan developed from a group of strong-willed, hard workers. They were not afraid to create their own existences, to greet and rise their new form of life to a higher plane, to reveal the gift as it truly was. Carthage, we are told, was a city where the Bruja lived with the mortals in harmony, proving the truth behind the lies of our supposed curse. If we were cursed, this city would never have been. But other kindred clans became jealous. They were full of hate. Spiteful, they could not see this new form of life for the wonder it was. They did not want others to enjoy it. These were the Ventru and the Malkavians of Rome who conspired to bring Carthage down, so that never again would kindred live with kind and peace. This tale they used to defend their masquerade, but we can see the truth behind the lie. If we could live so once, we can live so again. Humans need not fear us. The pre-masquerade. The government among kindred this time was very loose. The geographical regions divided them too much to have any central control. For the most part, when kindred were oppressed, they went elsewhere to live their own way, away from those who would stop them. But the world grew even smaller, and the hands of the kindred kings reached out everywhere to smother all resistance to their ideas of what kindred life should be. It was their callous use of humanity that caused their near destruction. The humans rose up against them, with their holy inquisition never stronger anywhere than in my own Spain. This caused the creation of the masquerade, at first an excuse to hide, but later an excuse to reign over all kindred. Masquerade. The first meeting of many great and powerful kindred was convened, and the masquerade was created. At this meeting we were told that all banded together for the common good of all, but this is a lie. There were many there who agreed with the idea, but not the way it was put forth. They would not submit to the power-hungry elders who headed the meeting. I have heard this tale from my own sire, who heard it from others who were there. There was open rebellion even then. The Ravnos clan left in disgust. They had always been pushed around as a group, and now the Camarilla wanted to shove them some more, but this time they were expected to like it for the common good. What hypocrisy! This is where the Galaric made his stand. He is forgotten by many now, but he was the first to revolt. On the first night of the lawmaking, he was the first Anarch, though they called him Autarchus then. He was outnumbered, as we are, and he was forced to leave with his brood, but the Ventru saw his threat and moved to stop him. He was attacked before he left the countryside. A powerful Ventru elder has silently dispatched his brood to take him down and thereby prevent the revolt. Galaric fought valiantly and destroyed many of them, but the force of numbers brought him down. We know this because his neonate child escaped. So intent on Galaric were the Ventru that they ignored the child until he was long gone from their grasp. This child, whose name no one remembers, traveled to the clans that did not come to the meeting and told them of the crime that had taken place. He spread the seeds of fear and rebellion to all the kindred. The new laws of the Camarilla were harsh, and they were not questioned at first, for mortals were still trying to destroy the kindred. But later, when humanity forgot about us, these laws were still harsh, and the princes used them to destroy those they hated personally. It is here that the Anarchs first began to fight as we do today. Galaric was forgotten, but the revolt sprang up anew from others. They were called Autarchus by the Camarilla, but names did not matter, only deeds. Many of the first kindred to come to the New World were Anarchs, fleeing from bloodhunts. They greatly aided the mortals when their time of revolution came, and the United States was born. But with the subsequent waves of immigration, the Camarilla seized much of the power from us later on. Many Anarchs kept moving west until they came to California and took their final stand, which led to our victory today. The French Revolution was our first true victory. We controlled the peasantry, while the Camarilla controlled the elite. The hatred between the classes finally broke into open revolt, and the Anarchs used this to destroy their oppressors. One such told me he had his sire, a count, dragged from his house by mortals and delivered to Madame Guillotine before dawn broke. In this way, the Anarchs were able to gain much power in France and hold it in Paris in later years, despite the strength of the surrounding Camarilla. It is in America that Anarchs have a chance to carve their own place. As in California, Anarchs are young. They are neonates or childhood, for only they realize that the older one is, the less wise one is. Those I fought with to create the Free States were hardened by their fighting overseas. Many were soldiers like me and had fled to escape persecution. Time has passed since then, but it has not dimmed the light of freedom from my eyes. The need for vigilance against the old is more evident now than ever. Wilder Anarchs began to appear in the 1950s, when many young Turks in leather were embraced. They knew little propriety, and they rudely spurned any older than they. They could not see fit to kneel to old men. Then came Vietnam. Mortals came home after fighting for their country, only to receive scorn. Some were embraced, and their new power gave them the ability to fight their injustice. Authority had caused all their pain, and now they could fight back. The young demonstrators who had been gassed were also angry and sore, and those that arose again after the gift took their anger out on the princes. But the princes were learning Anarch tactics. They began to use the violent mortal revolutionaries as retainers, as we had been doing. They manipulated them into lawless acts to further their own plots at the expense of the Anarchs. The rest of the Kindred blamed these acts upon us, and we became known as nothing but violent children, out to destroy. It saddens me that much of this is true. Too many call themselves Anarchs only to be able to rebel. They have nothing to build in place of what they tear down. But it does not matter. It is the tearing down of oppression that is important. There will always be those who rebuild. Anarchs today. I must speak about the Anarch movement, for this is what we have here in California, a united stand against the Camarilla and authority. We have come together to put aside our differences and stop others from exerting power over us. Elsewhere, and even here in California, Anarchs are divided, working in groups for their own goals, rarely coming together to aid each other. In fact, we fight each other more often than we fight the princes. The leaders are the ones who make the first move to reconciliation. Only by working together in numbers can Anarchs elsewhere gain what we have in California: our own freedom. We must be aware of our enemies, the princes, Justicars, and their boot-licking archons. They are the same everywhere, old and seeking to maintain their centuries-long hold on power. They cannot realize that their time is over. They must move aside for the young or crumple to dust. It would be best for them to sleep away the years until the world can be new and young for them again. They are fools. They grasp and grasp for more power over those they rule, and the ruled are too stupid to realize what is being done to them. It is up to the Anarchs to reveal the true plot. The war of jihad, the princes and justicars fight out among themselves and blame it on mythical elders. They say that the antediluvians are using all as puppets for their war, and the war is really among the elders. Only we Anarchs are free of the strings. Only we can destroy the puppeteers, and destroy them we shall. The thrum of their hearts will beat in our veins as they perish under our fangs. There is one enemy you must know of: Justicar Petrodon. He is of the clan Nosferatu, and not only is he ugly outside, but the beast is worn on his heart also. He claims to sympathize with us, but in reality he hates all our actions and our being. He is too old to think new thoughts, and his ugliness has scarred him inside. Beware his wiles. One day, Petrodon, you shall plead before me for precious mercy, but shall receive only scorn. Your poisonous blood is not fit to drink, you fucking scum. Maybe you are one of the lucky, and the prince of your city will listen to you. Do not let this fool you into conceding your demands. You must not bend in the face of consolation. We can be friendly, but never kind. If they do not recognize our demands, then bring raging fire to their very havens. Burn the bastards' cajones. A call to arms. This I know more than any other thing, that we must fight for our ways. All those against us will bring war upon us. We must bring this war first. We must move quietly and strike when it is least expected, when they are weak. I tell you to begin the riots. The time is here, for the mortals themselves have had enough oppression. We can aid them in their war, just as they aid us in ours. Their marches through the streets can cover our battle. When they fight, we must fight. Where there is action, we must be part of it. There are many weapons you can use to fight the enemy. They must be made afraid. Use your hands, use guns, use poisons in their blood. They will fear you. Use computers against them, for they do not understand these new things. They know only castles and swords, but we can learn new things. For this, we must be strong and fight like wolves, not like the pups they think we are. There are many dangers this way, but we can overcome all. We must resolve to be free and run our lives as we will. The worst that can come is death. Bad it seems for us who have already died, but is it really so? Who says that we shall not live again in another time, in another place? They who say that we are cursed believe that we will not live a life again after a second death. But I say we are not cursed. If we will hard enough, we shall live again. This is as Nietzsche said, my doctrine, live that thou mayest desire to live again, that it is thy duty, for in any case thou wilt live again. My final say, I have said much here, things which will cause many to hate me. You who read this will be in danger, for they will suspect you once you know the truth. If this causes you to fight them, even in self-defense, I am glad. You may hate me for it, but I know that it is necessary. It is the way of freedom. Nothing is won without blood, especially for a vampire. We must fight them in every way, never letting them get the better of you. You may be alone at first. You may not know to whom you can go. Who will aid you in your fight? There is no easy way. I will not endanger my friends by telling you how to find them. This you must do yourself. Only you are to blame if you let them rule you. They are demons, all of them. They will wish to make you live through the hell you cheated when you were born again. For this, they must burn as if they were in hell. We will be their hell. We will impale them on wooden pitchforks and dip them into lakes of fire. They may scream, but we will laugh. Revenge, sweet, thick, red revenge will be mine every time you kill one of them. Onward to the raging fires of revolution. Farewell, Salvador. An opening letter to all Canaanites. From Justicar Petrodon. I am writing to address a grievous crime which has been committed against you all. I refer to the pamphlet which has been freely distributed in all Kindred meeting places. An Anarch Manifesto. Many who have read this have voiced to me complaints, in the belief that this document speaks the truth. I feel it imperative that I, once and for all, demolish any lingering doubt as to the authenticity of the events related in the manifesto. I categorically denounce it all as a lie. A vicious attempt by violent revolutionaries to destroy the fabric of our centuries-long peace. The author of this rant is a warmonger, and he desires nothing more than fighting his own kind. Diablerie is his greatest joy, and toward this end he wishes to rouse others to fight, to give him the excuse he needs that he may cannibalistically suck vitae from others. I am aware that I am disparagingly referred to in this rant. I say that I bear ill toward none, even those who tear down our achievement of cohesive society. Salvador Garcia, the author, despises me because I was forced in the interests of safety to punish him. This happened in Spain during the Spanish Civil War, when he was brought before the prince under the charge of diablerie. It is curious that he does not mention this incident. I have done my best to convince Salvador that he is only harming the young neonates he lures into his fold. I do not care for him, but I fear for those subverted to the cause of destruction. They do not know what can happen when the Masquerade is threatened. They have never had a maniacal mortal hunt them down, seeking only to plant wood in their hearts. There are good and important reasons for the laws as they stand. Of course, it is only natural that they will be abused occasionally. This is why I and other Justicars exist. The Anarchs do not understand this. They are like children, heedless of their parents' warnings not to play in the street. In this light, I must lay down this ruling. An Anarch Manifesto is to be destroyed. Anyone caught possessing a copy will be brought before his prince for judgment. Possession of the Manifesto will be considered a crime against the second tradition, a conspiracy against the ruler of the domain. This is the crime of all anarchs, and any who possess the Manifesto will be considered such. Tradition is all. Tradition is the law. Witnessed by Justicar Karlak.